Alrighty, what is up, guys? Evan Aldo here. I am joined here live with Brandon Green from the. He's one of the biggest, organizers for the Bitcoin conference that's going to be taking place in Nashville this year at the end of this month. So, thank you so much for joining me, Brandon. Really appreciate that.
Thank you for having me on. It's good to be here.
Awesome, man. So I know probably a lot of my viewers probably some of them may have seen you before. You've been on some of the YouTube channels, but how about you give us a little overview of what your background is, who you are, and what you do for the Bitcoin conference, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Brandon. I've been in Bitcoin for about 7 years now, working in the industry. Started as an intern at BTC, and then have worked my way up. I now run the conference. I run the 40-person team that helps put on the Bitcoin conference in Nashville and also the international events. And yeah, it's been a wild ride. My background's chemical engineering. I don't have any sort of like formal training in anything that you would think would lend it to understanding Bitcoin. Yet it seems to have worked out.
Wow. So, I mean, the thing that's on my mind when I first heard about it last year at last year's Bitcoin conference was, oh, I live in Miami. This year's conference is going to be in Nashville. Why did you guys switch it? After Miami's, considered the big crypto capital of the world. We had FTX Stadium had to change their name. Some quails, but still, Miami's one of the bigger crypto capitals of America, at least. Why did you guys move it to Nashville?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So there's a few reasons, and first of all, we love Miami. Miami was a ton of fun. We would never say that we wouldn't go back. It's always in the cards. But there's a couple things that we were kind of thinking about. Number one is that we became known as like Bitcoin Miami, which is it's fine, but we're the Bitcoin conference, right? We want to be known as a like industry, like the industry flagship event. And if we start kind of getting pigeonholed into the Miami Bitcoin conference, then we kind of lose a little bit of that brand room. And Bitcoin's bigger than Miami, right? Like Bitcoin's bigger than the US. Bitcoin's bigger than any of us, right? So we don't want to just like make it seem like in order to kind of go to the biggest Bitcoin event, you got to go down to Miami. And then the other thing that has been interesting and that we've talked about internally is Bitcoin is not just for the coastal elites, it's for the flyover country. It's not just for the country clubs, it's also for the country farms. And so we wanted to locate ourselves somewhere where people could drive in, people could fly in, but you're actually way more centrally located to a huge amount of the population. Whereas everyone, unless you're in the greater Miami area, you're going to fly in to the conference there. And so we're excited to kind of bring in a more middle America crowd to the event where there's tons of Bitcoiners, tons of crypto people, and a huge audience. So we're excited for Nashville. Nashville's a really fun town.
Wow, yeah. No, that is a very good answer. I mean, I'm excited to go there just because I've driven through Nashville, but I haven't really done, much there other than that. So it'll be really good for, somebody who's always kind of on the coast like I am, like you mentioned, to kind of go to more of middle America. So that's a really good point. Now, I know Miami's conference last year the turnout was good, but it was a little bit less from what I noticed from 2022. My guess is that we're probably going to see a bigger turnout compared to last year in Nashville compared to what Miami was. Is that what you guys are anticipating?
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to be bigger. We're already bigger with just our ticket sales. So we're feeling really strong about this market. It's been an interesting market for crypto conferences in general. You've actually seen the trend that most of them have been smaller this year than last year's event. And
Mm.
so we're taking a little bit of pride in the fact that we're continuing to grow. So, but it tends to follow the price to some extent with a little bit of a lag. So. I expect that conferences later this year and into next year are going to continue to be bigger. And the adoption wave is just getting started. So I think that it's bullish for the industry in general, but we're going to be a bigger conference than last year, and I'm really excited about that.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I know that, I've been linking to the ticket sales. Everybody watching could get the 10% off with my link. I know, when you look at some of the passes, as an average person, there's the industry pass, or is there the festival pass? How about you talk about, what the difference is? Like, what is the industry pass as compared to just the regular cheaper pass?
Yeah, so industry pass is for people who are there to get business done. That's the way I kind of describe it. So, it's almost easier to describe the industry pass by talking about the festival pass first. Festival pass is there. You're there to consume. You're there to learn about Bitcoin. You're there to see the show, to meet people. To kind of have like an entry level entertainment style event. And then the industry pass is like, man, I got to go make sales. I got to go build my network. I want to go get a job. I'm going to find investors. I'm going to, it's a very business oriented pass. And so, there's a lot of networking that goes along with that. There's an extra day of content and networking that's happening on the 25th
Mm,
industry day. So it's very geared toward, and then there's like F&B and kind of soft networking opportunities as well. So it's very much geared towards, yeah, that like building the network, getting deals done, and building the industry. Really, I mean, this is the cool part of our event is we're a very consumer event, but the entire Bitcoin industry is at the event. So there's tons of deals happening in the background. Like I'm talking billion-dollar deals that have gone down at our event in the past, and so it is a really huge opportunity for the industry as a whole to grow and to kind of take a next leg up, let's say.
So including the industry day, it's 4 days total, I believe, or is it just three? I forget the
3 days total, including
Okay,
industry day.
including the industry day. Out of those 3 days, or just in general, what speakers, what events, what time is something that people, I know some people, they'll get a ticket and maybe they'll go later or they'll go half of one day, maybe they'll skip one day and just see Nashville. You know how some people don't see all of it. What's like one day or one speaker or one thing you're really, really excited about that you don't think anybody should miss?
Yeah, so I would say first and foremost, it's an election year, and so we have RFK speaking. He actually debuted as a political candidate at Bitcoin 2023 in Miami last year. Not many people know this. This is like his first public appearance, and it was pretty amazing. Were you there? Did you get to
I
like listen
Yep.
to him?
I saw him speak, yeah, right in front of him. Yep.
Yeah, so I was like, I had chills, I had goosebumps, like
Yeah.
listening to the Kennedy up there, talking about how the Canadian trucker movement made him understand the value of money that can't be censored or seized, and it was like, oh my gosh, this just clicked in a presidential candidate's mind, the value of Bitcoin, and therefore like the ideas and ideals of Bitcoin that kind of precipitate from that. So I'm really excited to hear him again. To number one, hear how his understanding and his thoughts around the industry have evolved over the past year. Um, Number two, because he's got a big role to play in November. I mean, he can go anywhere from a VP candidate. He could potentially be the Democratic Party candidate. He could
Mhm.
potentially play spoiler for the election. And so, he's going to be a major player this year. And him kind of being this pro Bitcoin candidate is huge. Uh, we've also been talking to both other presidents. So, presidential candidates, both the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, and the Trump campaign. We've had some great conversations with them regarding their participation at the event. There's no, this has been widely reported already, so I'm not saying anything that isn't already out there.
Mhm.
But neither of them has said no yet. We'll put it that way. And so these are both campaigns that make decisions last minute, and we're very optimistic that we could get one, if not both of them, to the event. And it's really just a matter of time. I mean, the Biden situation's a little different than
Yeah.
what you would expect. So I'm not holding my breath on that one, but it's still possible. And so how cool would that be if the Bitcoin conference,
Mm,
just zoom out, like not us,
yeah.
like a
Right.
Bitcoin conference garnered the attention of all three presidential candidates, for an election. Like that's just nuts. That's crazy. Like 4 years ago, you would have laughed me out of the room if I told you that. So
Yeah.
we've come a long way.
No, that is yeah, I would not have even just hearing about it a month ago when I first saw that, I was like, "Yeah, right." When I saw, like, the Trump rumor of him speaking, I'm like, "Yeah, right." The thing I wanna ask you is, when do you think we'll find we're probably gonna find out that pretty soon whether Trump or Biden is going to speak, right? Do you have any estimate of when we'll find out that? Within a week, within 2 weeks, anything like that?
To be honest, the reason I was late is because I was taking calls around that today. I think we
Wow.
could hear something today. I'm not, going to hold my breath on it, but certainly, I would expect to hear something today. And if not, any day now. Like we're in the window very much where the Trump campaign, especially, like they start
Mm.
putting things on the calendar. It's like this 14-day, 10-day window. So we're I'm sitting by my phone. Trump campaign, give me a call. Like we're ready. So we'll see what
Wow.
happens.
So people who haven't bought tickets yet probably should. I mean, there's no guarantee, but if we're anticipating this, prices probably will go up, or we're going to more likely sell out quickly once we hear that information. You would guess, right?
Yeah, yeah, and even more so than the tickets, make sure you're getting your hotels because
Oh yeah.
all of our hotel blocks have already sold out. So like we're already in the end game of the hotel scene of Nashville. So if you're interested in coming, for sure, go ahead and book because you wait too long and the options are going to be slim pickings.
When did ticket prices rise next? How long do people have before the next rise of ticket prices?
This Friday.
This Friday.
So
Okay.
we got this week.
So yeah, guys, just a couple more days, and you may get that just to tell. But I'm not, not trying to show my link or nothing. But I believe Brandon when he says we may have some big news on a speaker that could, drive up demand here. So look into it if you guys are thinking about going. Now, obviously, RFK Jr., Trump, those are the big speakers. Is there any particular speaker you're really excited about who is not? I know we obviously have Michael Saylor. That's the big king of it all. Kathy Wood's going to speak. Is there anybody? I think Russell Brand is going to speak. Is there anybody else that's like a person who hasn't spoke last year that you're excited about seeing?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would go into some of the maybe lesser known names, but there have been a lot of brilliant Bitcoiners and developers that have emerged over the past year. There's a lot of development happening around Bitcoin, especially when it comes to scaling, layer twos, maybe they're called side chains. There's a lot of activity in that. One company that I've been watching very intrigued, let's say, is Alphen Labs.
Okay.
They're a lesser known Bitcoin startup. They're doing layered scaling via ZK rollups on Bitcoin, and they've got some killers on that team. So I'm excited to see that team there in action and kind of talking about the ZK rollups on Bitcoin talk track. Um, Outside of that, we've got some really great freedom fighters. We partnered with the HRF for the open source stage this year. So we've got some pretty amazing people all around the world who have been using Bitcoin to champion their own, pro democracy, pro freedom platforms, in developing countries and third world countries. And I'm excited to hear a lot of updates around that. We got a few product announcements that are going to happen at the event. I don't want to give away the farm in terms of who it is, but
Hmm.
certainly some of the more well-known Bitcoin and crypto companies are going to be making some pretty big announcements at the event. So I'm very excited about that. And yeah, I would say the folks you mentioned are all going to be huge. The Russell Brand, he's an interesting character.
Yeah.
You've got he's an interesting character. I mean, he is,
Very.
and he's got a huge, massive following on YouTube, and so for
Oh
some
yeah.
of these guys, I'll take you behind I'll take you behind the scenes of how we think about this sometimes, right? It's not just about who can make the best content on stage. It's also about who, if we were to kind of take them down their own Bitcoin journey, like who can we have an impact on? And I view
Mm.
someone like a Russell Brand. He's got a massive audience. He talks about things that would make me think he could be interested in Bitcoin. And then
Mhm.
if we can get him in a conversation about Bitcoin where he's actually learning about it on stage, he's seeing the audience, he's seeing the crowds, he's feeling the excitement. The next thing you know, his next show, his next two shows, he's talking about Bitcoin. and maybe he gets a Bitcoin guest on it, and the next thing you know, like it becomes a bigger part of his mission, his thought pattern, et cetera. And so we kind of increase the adoption that way too. So, there's a little bit of gamesmanship that happens with some of these speakers that people don't really think about. And so I'm excited about that we could really get him to be a much bigger player in the Bitcoin world.
Yeah, when you talk about, it's obviously a Bitcoin conference. There's, sometimes it's a four-letter word to talk about, Ethereum or other, projects of that nature. What do
Mhm.
you think when you hear, there's certain people at the conference I talk to that they're, Bitcoin maxi, they're all about Bitcoin. There's other people I meet that'll talk about everybody's gonna be talking about the Ethereum ETF that's gonna be coming out. When you look
Yeah.
at, other projects, altcoins have gotten decimated when you look at those things, what do you think? Um,
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say so. First of all, like we're not anti crypto. There are some Bitcoiners who are like very anti crypto, just on its face, and immediately it's like if it's a crypto project, if it's an altcoin, we hate it, right? And I wouldn't put us in that category. What we are is we're very convicted on Bitcoin.
mhm,
We believe that Bitcoin is going to change the world. And we believe that it's important to create a platform to weed out all the rest of the crypto conversations and just hone in on the Bitcoin conversations. And what we saw, the reason why we created this conference is like you had the consensus events of the world, the Cointelegraph events, all of
mhm.
these other kind of crypto or blockchain events that like they didn't really talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin was like an afterthought in their conference, and so um, we wanted to kind of like it didn't make any sense. Like Bitcoin's the biggest project. It's you know half the market cap, if not more of the total crypto market cap, and all of these conversations are just completely ignoring it. And so we wanted to create the dedicated time to talk about it. And so that's how we kind of view the rest of crypto. It's like we don't want to take up time talking about the rest of crypto. Like we just want to talk about Bitcoin. That's what we're excited about. So that's kind of how I would answer that. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that there couldn't be interesting things in the world of crypto. I don't spend much time on it. I just think that Bitcoin's 99% of everything that is
Right.
going to be interesting in the space. So it's more just the focus.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the conference coming up and you look at these, obviously the big news is presidential candidates speaking about it. I can't imagine if we do have, a Biden or a Trump speaking that Bitcoin's going to keep going down, through that. Do you have any? I mean, I'm pretty bullish. I think we're going to follow this 4-year cycle and be higher than we are now in a year to a year and a half from now, at least, maybe even be double where we are now, or finally get to that 100K point. I mean, obviously, none of us can predict the future completely, but what are some of your if you have any predictions for Bitcoin over the next year to year and a half?
Yeah. So sometimes I look like the crazy bulltard in the room. I mean, I'm pretty bullish. I'm pretty bullish on where I think Bitcoin will go over the next few years. And, I do believe in like the 4-year cycle kind of model around the Bitcoin price. So, I think this year we've already outperformed my expectations of where I thought we would be. At least at the start of the year. Now, once the ETFs were approved, of course, everyone kind of puts on the very rose tinted bullish glasses, and you
Mm,
start raising your target price for this year. But if you actually zoom out and think about the 4-year cycle, this should be a relatively calm year, with 2025 being, the blow off top mania bull market. And so from that perspective, like I would think at the end of 2025, you're looking at a Bitcoin price conservatively, in my opinion, conservatively around 350K. But I think that we could actually go much higher than that. I would say my base case is that this is the cycle where we push gold for market cap. Gold sitting around like a 10, 12 trillion market cap.
wow.
I think to catch up with it, we would need to be roughly 650K per Bitcoin. And so I think that would be like my goal for this cycle. Um, and then we could always blow off top above that. So there's like maybe a bull, bear, and base case for you.
Yeah, no, it would be nice, a 5 or 6x. I mean, that would be spectacular. That would be, I mean, life-changing for some people, life-changing to a lot of people,
For
going
sure.
to this conference, especially, when you've been in this for 7 years, when you're looking back, when you probably got in what 2017 during that kind of run up, I think, right? When you
Yep.
look at where we are now, how did you imagine it being? You probably didn't imagine us being as far along as we are now, right? I mean, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, it's a good point. I actually, my rudimentary math would probably have us around this price range,
Mm,
but I couldn't have imagined the level of adoption that we would have seen by now. I mean, you have countries who have it as legal tender. You've got, the presidential candidates of the United States talking about it on their platform. I don't know if you saw it
mm.
right before we jumped on, but Trump did release his campaign platform and it talks about Bitcoin in his
Oh wow.
the official Republican platform. So, I mean, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy that we've gotten to that point. And then, outside of that, I would say just continuing to see the adoption occur in random pockets of the world. I mean, places that uh, I've never been. I've never talked to someone from that area. I help run the biggest media organization in all of Bitcoin, and even we aren't reaching some of the people who are adopting Bitcoin in a really wholehearted and enthusiastic manner. And so,
Mm.
yeah, like the adoption of Bitcoin has just been incredible, and really that's been breakneck, and I expect it to accelerate honestly from here. Like, there's two things you got to watch. Number one, you have to watch how many people are using Bitcoin, but then
Mm.
number two, you have to look at what percentage of their net worth is in Bitcoin. And I think that you have to measure adoption from both angles. And, I think we will see both measurements significantly increase over the next 4 years, let's say. So not only are we going to see, maybe 10% of the global population using Bitcoin, but I also think that you're probably going to see them 10 to 20% of their net worth of the average person in Bitcoin is going to have their net worth in
Wow.
Bitcoin. So it could get crazy.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer to that. When you look at adoption, I mean, obviously, El Salvador what was scary at first because they did, get into it towards the top, but it came all the way back and it turned out to be a really good idea. Are there any like estimates of any other, places where you may see? Have you been hearing any other countries that may adopt it? And also, when do you think we'll see? I mean, at some point, I feel like we got to see a Bitcoin conference in El Salvador. Have you guys talked about that?
We have talked about it. It's something that like if we were a bigger organization that
Mhm.
like let's say we had a little bit of like a luxury budget, we 100% would want to do an event in El Salvador. But man, like we're trying to grow the Bitcoin conference series to be like the biggest conference in every market, and there are still challenges in doing a big conference in El Salvador.
Mm,
The hotel infrastructure, the transportation infrastructure, the actual infrastructure of like a conference center. You wouldn't be able to do more than like a couple thousand people, and
mm.
that would be difficult in and of itself. And so that's the biggest limiting factor. Outside of that, we would absolutely want to go down to El Salvador and do an event there, and maybe do a small scale event, but still do an event there. I mean, it's part of our history. In Bitcoin 2021, that was where El Salvador, that's where Bukele announced legal tender. And so, that's one of our proudest moments as an event is that we were able to kind of create that platform. So, yeah, we'd love to be there. We would love to go down to El Salvador eventually.
That's a great answer. Yeah, thanks. I have a lot of viewers who, there's just so many degens that are into all these meme coins and all this stuff. And I'm just like, guys, oh man, I don't know what your meme coin cat with hat is gonna do tomorrow. What do you have to say to these people to make them like, look, guys, I mean, Bitcoin, I get it. It's it's a big market cap. I mean, okay, it's not going to $1 million probably anytime soon, that quickly. But what do you have to say to these people to just certain people I just cringe. I'm just like, oh, you're just putting all this money into all these meme coins. What do you have to say to people like that to get them to be a little bit more conservative?
Yeah, I think everyone has to take their path. Let me put it that way. And I can speak from my own experience. Like, I did not come in knowing how important Bitcoin was in the grand scheme of things, knowing how much better it was than other cryptocurrencies. I had to learn that, and you usually learn that in the bear market when you're looking at your bag of cat with hat meme coin and it's going down precipitously,
Right.
but your Bitcoin stack is staying steady. And you have to answer the question, why, right? Why is Bitcoin so much more steady? Like, why is it retaining its value when everything else is crashing? Why is it that no altcoin has ever produced a subsequent high, all-time high against the Bitcoin price in any cycle? You know, it's never happened.
Yeah.
So you have to answer those questions, and once you do, like it starts to I think result in you understanding like Bitcoin truly is 99% of everything that's happening in this space, and it should be where you're putting 99% of your money if you're asking me, not financial advice, right? So
Right.
but yeah, like the meme coiners are going to meme coin, the degens are going to degen. Like if there was a magic word that I could say to prevent it from happening, I would. But it's inevitable. So people just kind of have to take their lumps. They got to learn the hard way, and then eventually everyone comes back to Bitcoin.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. That's pretty much, all that I have for you. Is there anything, any parting words you want to leave for everybody watching here? We got about 51 live viewers. Oh, somebody asked, is there a way somebody who can't make the conference, is it going to be streamed live? Can people watch it live?
Yeah. We'll live stream the stage, and we'll have like a whole Bitcoin magazine show to go along with it. So it should be a really good experience. Of course, it won't be being there in person.
Right.
I think I mentioned this in the beginning, right? But the true beauty of the conference isn't the content that's happening on the stage. The content that happens on stage is what gets people there. But
Right.
the magic of the experience is being able to go talk to people who have been in Bitcoin, you know, just alongside you. It's like your brothers in arms,
Exactly.
right? That
Yeah.
you didn't even know existed, and you would be shocked to see how much you have in common with these people that are coming, and it's truly this fun place to go meet friends, make new friends, see people in real life. Uh, if you want a job in the industry, go get a job. If you want to meet a speaker or an influencer or someone who's well known, it's a great place to go meet them. If you want to just go like kick back and have a beer and talk about Bitcoin and freedom and
Yeah.
whatever, you know, like it's great for that. And then you know the content that happens on the stages, you know the what I always tell people, we record that, we put it on YouTube, it'll be there. You're not going to miss anything, right? You don't want to miss the special moments. You don't want to miss the, let's say, Trump on stage talking about Bitcoin if you were to come. You know, like that's what you don't want to miss. But everything else, you got time for it. You want to be there to experience the in person aspect of an event.
Exactly. Oh, that comes up to, is there any after parties you're excited about? I know there's always so many. Anything you're planning on? Maybe some of them are a little bit exclusive. But
Yeah, no, you got to make sure you go to the Bitcoin Week page on our website, and we're trying to keep track of all the satellite events and after parties that are happening. There's tons. There are so many this year, so make sure like you check that out. Plan your whole week. There's stuff happening every single day the week of the event, and yeah, it's like I guess we haven't talked about Nashville. Like we kind of glossed over it, but Nashville is a lot of fun, and so part of the whole draw of you know coming is the fact that you can enjoy the town. Like you can go to the honky tonks, you can go to the lake, you can go to the bars, all sorts of things. And so you're like really in one of the best cities in the entire world, in my opinion, with a whole bunch of Bitcoiners who are there to have fun, there to celebrate, and you just want to be able to experience that. So make sure you plan your trip. Don't just show up kind of and expect everything to fall in your lap. Like go chart your own adventure and have fun.
awesome, man. Yeah, that's pretty much all the things I'm thinking about right now. Is there any parting words? Anything else you want to tell everybody watching?
No, just go to b.tc/conference. Grab your ticket while you still can. Grab your hotel room while you still can, and I'll see you guys in Nashville.
Yeah, and guys, my link, it should be down below. Either the first or second link is for the Bitcoin Nashville. They hooked me up with a 10% discount code. So if you want to use my link, we're going to do a meetup for me, and we'll be doing one, yeah, a meetup with me and Paul Barron. So you get to meet me. We'll do it one of those nights. We got to figure out one of those nights. I will let you guys know on YouTube and in my Discord as well. So yeah, we're going to end the stream right now. Thank you so much, Brandon. Really appreciate you for joining me.